Welcome to the 2022 Hydrant Inspection and Pumping Program. For our safety and the residents of Stamford, this vital inspection period is imperative for the city. Since last year, we have made well over 200 repairs. That includes the installation of many new hydrants and other fixes. But the work is not done yet. There are still many issues out there that need addressing, and we need all of Stamford's firefighters assisting with the process. If everything keeps progressing as anticipated, in 2023, we should hopefully begin a proactive replacement program. This year, we will continue turning each and every stem out there to ensure the hydrant's operability. Turning stems will be the new norm. It is our best way to become familiar with our hydrants while also helping to find and fix any issues. We will not be doing any pressure testing this year, but we will burp and fully operate the stem to charge and clear out any sediment within the barrel. But I will stress that we will not wide openly flush hydrants with the caps off. Flooding the roadway must be avoided for safety and other concerns. This also disrupts Aquarian's water distribution system, causing an increase of complaint calls reporting dirty water. Aquarian systematically flushes their system yearly on a schedule they have made. If you run into a problem where you think debris is in the hydrant barrel, we will later show you how to take the hydrant out of service so we can have it inspected. So let's begin with a review of what types of hydrants we have out there. The Kennedy is one of our most common hydrants and comes in different models. This K11 has a screw-type collar and will show the make, model, and year. These K11s are known to be difficult to open. Per our maintenance contractor, do not be afraid to give these hydrants some muscle to open or close. There is little that can be done to make these operate smoother. There are too many of them to replace at this moment, and we are exploring options to provide cheater bars with your hydrant equipment. Exercising them will help. The newer Kennedy 81A has a breakaway collar that bolts the hydrant to the riser. It is easily replaceable and the only hydrant now installed for new projects. To our knowledge, all stores hydrants have been retrofitted with the Pentagon steamer cap. If you come across one with the spanner style, please report it to sfd.hydrants@stanfordct.gov so we can change it. We also have RD Wood or Matthews fire hydrants. These are identifiable by the ribbed bonnet. These are some of our oldest fire hydrants and info is limited on them. There are a few other hydrants that don't fit the pre-mentioned criteria. Some needed adapters to conform with our Stamford hydrant thread or store size. If there is any doubt on the thread size of a hydrant, carefully test fit with your hydrant adapter and report any issues. Check the GPS coordinates. If it appears the pin does not match the location of the hydrant, check the appropriate box on the inspection form. We will go out and update these coordinates so CAD, the MDT, and tablet command can show their proper location. Now move on to a visual inspection. Check the bonnet, caps, barrel, and base collars. As standard practice as well, check to see if the hydrant is completely off prior to removing any caps. These are some examples of immediate concerns. Damaged hydrants, unstable hydrants, or collar damage to hydrants. These hydrants should not be turned on and immediately placed out of service with a red ring placed on the hydrant. We will review the proper way to take a hydrant out of service through the fire web. If we can have the hydrant repaired, you will be notified so you can return to it. Leaking hydrants can be checked first to see if they are completely shut off. If it appears they will not stop leaking, no further inspection is needed. A red out of service ring shall be placed on the hydrant. We will have to have Aquarian respond out and turn off the hydrant at the street valve key. If it's repairable, you will be notified. A reminder about red rings. Red rings are our best way to quickly identify that a hydrant is out of service. It is the policy of the Stamford Fire Department and the district unit's responsibility to place a red ring on the hydrant. Large rings will easily fit behind the large cap of a threaded steamer. For the store's hydrant, you may need to slice the ring to fit it behind the store's connection. We also have smaller rings for the 2.5-inch ears. Use one on each side if you have this style. Having more rings visible has already shown to help for everyday out-of-service knowledge or incident-specific emergencies. If you don't have a red ring and must identify a hydrant as out of service in this manner, it is temporarily acceptable. However, you should return at your earliest convenience with a red ring. Spun hydrants with significant collar damage shall be taken immediately out of service. Spun hydrants with minor damage can remain in service as long as all bolts are in place around the collar. However, a service needed report must be submitted so we can have the hydrant turned back around. We will review this process. Service needed reports can also be made for items such as this broken dust collar. If the hydrant passes a visual inspection, we can now proceed to the next steps. But first, anytime we open hydrants, it is important to open the hydrant very slowly. One full turn with a little pause, then moving on to another turn, pause, etc. This will help prevent any pressure drops in the system that could set off nearby flow switches in buildings or activate aquarium pump systems, which may generate water hammers. Especially take note above the parkway. That part of the system is extremely delicate. Some of the mains are around 100 years old, and water hammers will have devastating effects to the system. We will now perform a burp and soft flow of the hydrant. This burp will discharge any sediment from the hydrant before we send it through our equipment. This will also allow us to begin exercising the stem. For this burp test, remove all caps and place them aside. This will also be a good time to inspect the gaskets and threads. Then slowly open the hydrant until a soft, steady flow of water discharges from all sides. Allow the water to clear, and then you can shut down the hydrant. 10 to 20 seconds of water flow is enough. If no water was produced after 6 or 7 turns, please check the appropriate box on the inspection form. Replace the caps, except for one of the 2.5 inches, for the next test. If at any time debris is found coming from a hydrant, please save it and notify sfd.hydrants@stanfordct.gov. A stem and burp test through the large cap is also an acceptable method prior to hooking up to a hydrant for any given incident. Next, we will perform the fully open stem operation test. We will need the bell reducer and red fog nozzle from the high-rise bag. Please do not use any other nozzle, as these are low pressure nozzles and will help reduce the water fluctuations within the main. Attach to one of the 2.5-inch ears and be sure the nozzle is closed. Slowly open the hydrant and count the number of turns until fully opened. Mark the number of turns on the inspection form. Once the hydrant is fully on, we can open the fog nozzle and clear out any remaining sediment from the barrel. A few seconds of water flow is all you need. You can then close the nozzle and shut down the hydrant. Once closed, give the hydrant about 3 minutes to drain. As you can see, the bottom drains are small. Give it the time it needs to settle out water while you pack up some equipment and before we finalize the inspection. We will now be checking for any remaining water in the barrel and pumping out as necessary. It is best to remove the large steamer cap for another visual check and to perform the string test. First, identify if water is still visible at the bottom of the large steamer opening. If that's the case, we may be dealing with a plugged hydrant or a completely clogged hydrant at the drain holes. The hydrant should be marked as wet, as it will require a second inspection. All plugged hydrants need to be pumped down after each and every use, no matter the time of year. There is a good chance when you come back for the second check, the hydrant may be dry. If there is no water sitting visible, then the hydrant is attempting to drain. After 3 minutes, you can then string test the hydrant to see if water still remains in the barrel. If your string indicates water, then the hydrant should also be marked as wet and pumped dry. As a reminder, do not throw the weights into the barrel of the hydrant. This can cause the string to wrap around the stem, locking the nuts onto the stem. You will have to take the hydrant out of service, which creates unnecessary cost and repairs. If left inside the barrel and the nuts bypass an intake screen on the fire pump, we can cause thousands of dollars in damage to fire apparatus. With all wet hydrants pumped dry, it is the second round of checks that we will begin with a string test and will indicate to us whether or not we're dealing with any leaking valves underground. If your string test indicates no water is left in the barrel, then this hydrant can be marked as dry. Once these determinations are made, the hydrant can be closed up and the proper documentation completed. The data collection point remains through the FireWeb. This is accessible while you are on your inspection routes on your MDT. Simply log in, go to the Mechanical tab, and scroll down to Hydrant Inspections. Here you can narrow your assigned hydrants by station and group. You will see a couple of changes on the inspection form, which will help us identify several issues we can have with hydrants. To begin the inspection form, enter as much information as you can about the hydrant. The condition found will be defined after we perform the stem operation and string test. The new drop-down menu box of drain status will hopefully clarify how we are classifying the water remaining in the barrels. To take a hydrant out of service or request repairs, there is no need for phone notifications. The inspection portal now has an easy link for you to immediately change the hydrant status, and it will auto-generate emails to the appropriate people. The officer in charge should right-click on the new button to open the report in a new tab. If you don't open the report in a new tab, you may have issues saving your hydrant inspection page. Towards the bottom of this page is a Record History section with a Choose One drop-down menu. The 3 options you should need are Out of Service Damage, Out of Service Frozen, or Service Needed. Please choose from only one of those 3 status changes. You may see others, but using them may delay your request. The first 2 will immediately change the hydrant status to Out of Service. The Service Needed option will leave the hydrant in service. Write in the notes the damaged issue and that the hydrant has been red ringed. Then click Save and return to the inspection platform. Again, this will generate the appropriate email notifications to the deputy chiefs, fire supervisors, and our hydrant division to begin the repair process. There is no need for phone notification, and please note you have red ringed the hydrant. Check the hydrant number written on the side of the hydrant. If there is a conflicting hydrant number, please enter that number on the inspection form. Do not rewrite any number in question. We are sorting out numbering issues this year. Aquarian does not provide a number for every hydrant. Any new numbers you see with a P or C in front of the number can be rewritten on the hydrant. These stand for private or other city hydrants that we can use. Any other variation of a number that you see should not be written on a hydrant. Those are temporary issues we are waiting to sort out. If you have a number issue, either send a service needed report or email sfd.hydrants and we will look into the issue. Keep numbers written on the side near the large steamer. We would like our city property to look as neat as possible. If you come across obstructed hydrants, please check the box on the inspection form. But this year, we would like you to make contact with business or residential owners that may have some responsibility for the reason why the hydrant is blocked. Hydrants should have a minimum of a 3-foot radius around all sides of the hydrant and be clear of property fences, walls, poles, or any other obstruction that could inhibit the use of the hydrant. Please, do what you can to continue the inspection, but also in a kind manner, explain to the owner the purposes of why we need the hydrant clear and ask them to remove objects or clean up the area. If you're unable to have success with this request, please take photos and email them to sfd.hydrants so we can assist with the issue. If a hydrant is buried in brush on a city street, through the site Fix It Stamford, you can choose the category Trees and Vegetation and fill out a form explaining the issue, and Public Works will come out and clean the area. Taking pictures will assist with this request, and you can also email them to sfd.hydrants if you are having trouble accomplishing this task. You can now cap up the hydrant and close out your first inspection for the season. Inspection follow-ups 2 and 3 will only concentrate on those hydrants which were wet. Again, inspection 2 will start first with a string test. Please space out your inspections by at least a couple of weeks to allow time for slow leaking hydrants to fill the barrel some. This will help us accurately track them and make necessary repairs. If water was still found after the third inspection, be sure to mark it as wet. If long cold spells are anticipated during the winter, we may still have to pump the wet hydrants again. This year's testing will help keep our hydrant stems operational and allow us to find and work towards resolving issues. Also, by accurately identifying hydrants that are out of service, this will help us pre-plan around those areas for better protection of life, property, and the safety of our crew members. Good luck and be safe.